Hey guys, and welcome to this latest video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Brian Burns, the edge rusher from Carolina. We're going to be taking a look at his Week 16 matchup versus Taylor Decker and the Detroit Lions. And in this deep dive, we're only going to be taking a look at the third down, so we get to see those real high intensity, typically pass rush downs, and get to see this matchup nice and close. So just before we get into the video, quick housekeeping. You may have noticed that we have a new name on the channel. We've moved from Substack Scout to Touchdown Scout. That's purely a future-proofing measure, just to make sure that we have all of available options for us in content going forward. But in terms of what you guys will experience, nothing will change. And we're going to get right into this matchup here. So, we're taking a look at Brian Burns here. He's lined up at right outside linebacker for the Panthers, and we're going to be also keeping a close eye on Taylor Decker here. So this is the first third down of the game, and to be honest, it's probably Burns' worst snap of the day. So here we get to see it's a decent initial start. I'm going to take it a little bit slowly here. So here we see that initial drive. He gets that left arm in, and he begins that rip and tries to pressure Decker. Now, at the outset, we should really focus on Decker as an opposition for Burns. Burns has obviously got the length. You can see that very easily by just looking at his image. He's also got the speed and the quickness to do a lot of damage to offensive tackles. Decker, in terms of, let's just compare him to Penei Sewell, who was also very, very highly regarded coming out of college. Just so you can see in terms of their set and hips, Sewell is a lot thicker across the torso and through the hips than Decker is. Decker is a taller athlete, which is good and bad for different scenarios, but it's just something to bear in mind. So when Burns tries to win with leverage here, that's probably sound strategy, right? Try and drive up initially into the shoulder and then dip the left arm round and rip towards the QB. So in terms of the strategy, nothing much to really call up here on Burns. It's more the effort really at the end, and this is such a rare thing for Burns. So I feel bad that it's the first play we've shown of him. But that effort to finish this play just isn't of what you need of the big third down, I should say, of the game, first one of the day. Ultimately, this goes for a big, I think like 39-yard pass downfield. Big momentum changer, and immediately sets you on the back foot. You know, you want to see that intensity right from the get-go, and unfortunately, we don't quite see that from Burns on that particular effort. Okay, let's roll full speed to first of all. So again, we're looking at over here. So right, okay. So now let's move back and take another look at this again. What I really love about Burns is, well, first of all, the quickness to get off the line and the tenacity to attack the edge. That is very evident. What I really like about here, and he actually misses, but we've got to give credit for the action, not entirely for the outcome. Just watch this chop move with his left arm. Now, he actually misses the two hands of Decker. Decker does a good job of kind of concealing them and then refiring them in after the miss to secure Burns' outside shoulder and effectively nullify the block. But that technique shows a real range of motion for Burns to work with. So let's keep an eye on that. That is very, very positive. Okay, here. So I think it's a 3rd and 14. So quite a long play and good play call from Detroit here. Calling a quick screen, bubble screen out to the slot, and this is effectively going to take Burns and the whole pass rush out of the play. Only thing that potentially we could ask for a bit more of from Burns here. He's obviously full scale, really trying to get after the QB, but potentially he could be a bit more available. Recognise that a touch quicker. I mean, that is being incredibly harsh, but you never know in types of run, in terms of bubble screen plays where the ball may be rooted back by some good force moves on the outside back towards the line of scrimmage, and then could well be more of a play. But in that particular scenario, I mean, you can't kill the guy for that play call against him. So, right, let's roll full speed. So here we're in the second quarter, so we flip sides. Make sure you're paying attention here. Brian Burns over on the right side of your screen, and he's attacking Taylor Decker. And he has this. This is a little bit of a challenge for him. There's quite a lot of congestion here to start with. So when you're talking about strategy, we've got this defensive tackle pressing into that B gap. We've got some running back support. So if you're Detroit, you're pretty happy with the state of the protection here. As you see, 6 versus 4. And Decker has got a good position to the outside. So let's actually just wind that back and just look at how they got into that position. So Burns' game plan here was clearly a full speed to power. He tries to get his left arm in, and he succeeds. He controls that outside shoulder, and he does a good job, and this stunt kind of works against him because it closes off this gap that he could then push into. It kind of it gets a bit messy. But what he does really nicely is he drives off that left-handed shoulder. And I'm going to slow it down just so we can take a look at this. And what I'd have liked to have seen in this follow-up, and it's very difficult, obviously, once it gets all busy like this, it gets difficult to know really what the right move is to do. But I'd like to have seen that right arm come back underneath of Burns. So if he could just hook that right arm underneath the right elbow of Decker and use that to manoeuvre against him, that would have been very, very interesting to see if anything could have happened at the end of that pass rush. So here, right, this is a confusing situation for Burns to navigate. So I want you to look at not just Decker here, because it's not just simply a one-to-one matchup. We've got a chipper here on the outside, and we've got the running back, DeAndre Swift, operating out of the backfield. And effectively, in this play, Burns is an effective 3-on-1. Want to show you how nicely he does, despite the tremendous odds against him. So he receives the chip. Now, what the chip does is allows Decker the opportunity to get space to the outside. He's got a good split there. He'll be happy, very happy with that spacing. And he's also in the knowledge that we've got running back DeAndre Swift here, who's just gently moving out into the flats. So Swift, I'm assuming in this situation, has got to block if it's dangerous. If not, go off into the flats on a swing route. In this case, he's monitoring here. You can see his eyes directly on Brian Burns and seeing what's happening. So the chip happens, and bearing in mind, so we're at this kind of size up stage now, and we can see the running back has fully come to the outside, and Burns knows this. The play has also developed more towards the left-hand side, to his left-hand side. So really there's only one way to go. Trying to pursue the edge as a non-starter. He's not got a good possession on Decker. We've also got that running back to consider, so he's got to try and make something work. So let's see what he does. He initiates a speed to power off of a pretty insufficient momentum to work with, but he makes it work. This is actually a tremendous rep. It won't show up probably on the stat sheet, but this is a really good hustle play to create pressure out of a very, very difficult situation. So here we go. So fits in that left hand. We've seen that before. He attacks that outside shoulder and uses that to try and push Decker to upfield so that he can use his right arm and rip underneath and then be able to attack the inside. And given how this situation was set up, this is really, really good play from Brian Burns. It highlights his quickness, his ability to react on the fly, and shows his overall pass rushing wisdom, which is something really, really important for a pass rusher in the NFL. So now we get to see, let's run this full speed. We get to see finally him have some fun with the quarterback. Now, let that play out. Now let's dissect this play a little bit. So what Burns does really well here, and obviously we've just shown you the third down, so we haven't shown you all of the pass rushes. But even in the small sample we have shown you, you'll have seen that Burns has tried to set up two different things. He's tried to set up the speed to power, which is the direct attack down the middle of Decker, and he's also tried to set up that edge rush. What he does, and bearing in mind we're now into the third quarter, into the second half, he uses that knowledge against Decker here. Watch that. So that just beautiful dart inside. You can see his actual angle is attacking the outside hip here of Decker. Now let's slow this down so we can see it. And that dart inside is very difficult to pick up. And we talked about how Decker is a longer athlete. He wants to be operating with real good arm length, which he does have, to try and keep the edge rusher at bay. Once they get into his body and start to out leverage him, and in this case produce quickness to get him out of his natural slide, which he does have a really nice smooth slide, but it's that transition back inside, as it is for most offensive tackles. We're not just picking on Decker here. But what Burns does really well is use all of that knowledge and does a beautiful dart back. Works fantastically well in the scheme because the defensive tackle is also trying to push up here pretty much straight up on the guard. All in all, fantastic use of knowledge and quickness and just raw ability to make that work. Then what I like is the close here on Goff. Goff actually does a really nice job here of trying to evade it. People think Goff is this stationary passer, and on a spectrum he's probably one of the more stationary ones, but this is a really good effort to try and get out of this contact. However, Burns does a tremendous job here of two long arms, first of all latching onto the jersey and then hustling Goff down to the ground for the sack. Superb work. And you're not going to win every single pass rep as an edge rusher, but you're trying to set the offensive tackle up for the next one and for the next one and for the next one. And if you do that enough, you'll have the opportunity to have it pay forward. So next one. So this is a really, really good adjustment from Detroit. So bearing in mind what we just saw on the previous third down, they come with a really smart way of keeping Burns away from the ball. They operate this. It's almost a full naked bootleg, really. There is a little bit of a play action there, but they pulled. Let's go back till we get to see it all. They pull the right guard all the way behind the line as the guy meant to cut off Burns here. Really, really cool play design. Allows their most dangerous rusher to be nullified and kept away, as far away from the ball as possible. Burns does try and get involved in the play towards the end, but let's be honest, that's just really good play design and using what you know about your opponent against them. So good work by Detroit there. Okay, next play. Okay, so here we get to see all of the different moves come together, right? We've seen the pure edge, we've seen the direct attack of the speed to power, we've seen that counter inside, which led to the sack a couple of plays ago. Now we get to see that work on that next step. So here, let's watch this really, really closely. So we begin as an edge. He's hunting the outside shoulder, at least he's trying. That's what he's trying to show. He then cuts back inside and sets up. He sets up Decker here with a potential feigned counter inside. Now, I'm not sure if coming into the snap that is what Burns had in mind for doing, but if he came off of that, that was the right call. Because here, Decker has got a good body shape here. He's slightly bent back over his rear rather than over his heels and his toes. But there's an opportunity potentially to come in there, but that's probably not the most optimal situation. What he does is he then tries to drive back out to the outside. And here what he does really nicely is he uses that left arm, we've seen that quite a lot, to rip underneath the arms of Decker. Now ultimately this play is a very quick pass. What do we have here? It's just a very quick throw out to the flats. So Burns doesn't have the time to really put that all together. But that is a winning rep right there. He has won that rep, and he's the type of player that if he knew he had the opportunity to keep pushing on the ball, here he sees the balls out of his hands, right? But he would use that left shoulder and use that left arm to continue driving into Decker here, because Decker is in a very poor position. that's just reactionary stuff, and he does actually, to be honest, is very good ability to react there. But that's when you really have the tackle beaten, is when they're out of their set and they're really trying to chase. Now, we just didn't get to see Burns finish this off, but he had won that setup. Okay, this is the only run play of this selection. For some reason, it's a 3rd and 9, and at this point, Detroit are down 21. So I'm not particularly sure why they're doing this, and this is in the 4th quarter, but hey, we're not going to judge a play call here. So this is a run targeting the A and B gaps on this side. The running back is either keying the guard, it looks like the guard, rather than the defensive tackle, and is looking for that opportunity upfield. So that's the play. Now let's look at what Burns is doing versus Decker here. First off, good understanding and good recognition that it's a run. So in this particular play, we can see Thompson is here covering the edge. I think that's Thompson. Sorry if it's not. Burns spots the opportunity to drive inside, and he does what we've seen quite a few times, is uses that left hand on the shoulder, uses that to try and push the tackle upfield, and then drives inside. And he does a really nice job of squeezing the play side gap ultimately. It might be subtle and you not see it directly, but you just see that those gaps nicely closing. And ultimately, that's what you got to do. You know, it's not a play targeted at you, but if you can ensure that you're affecting the play in a positive manner, you are doing your job. And Burns certainly does his job on that particular down. Okay, this is our final one. So here, raw 1-on-1 rush here. This is what we love to see. Burns doesn't go directly for that full edge. He's trying to size up Decker here with a speed to power, and unfortunately for Burns, his hand slips off the chest, or the upper portion of his shoulder, up past, even past his ears and onto his helmet. And really, there's not a lot you can really do to recover from that situation. That just throws off all your leverage, all of your momentum, and Decker really has not too much difficulty to get back down, show good leverage, and secure that block. But all in all, a thoroughly exciting matchup between these two. Burns is a fantastic pass rusher. We have him rated as a Rose Gold player when we did the full scouting report on him. Superstar level player with just such great athletic tools and really improving pass rush wisdom, which he's only adding to. And whilst the numbers aren't to the same level as a TJ Watt or a Bosa or those kind of guys, or Micah Parsons, he's working his way up to that, and really living up to his full potential that was promised with the 1st round pick. Okay guys, we're going to call it a day at this point. Please like and subscribe this video. It really helps us get this video out to more people and really helps the channel, so thanks a lot for that. If you'd like to see more of this content, please subscribe to the channel, but also check out our Substack. The link is in the description below. That's where we post all of our full scouting reports. We post one every single day, and really would love for you guys to read them. So thanks a lot. We'll check you guys on the next one. Thank you.